President Akufo-Addo sometime in March directed that all persons who arrived in the country from the 3rd of March before the closure of Ghana's borders at midnight of the 22nd should be traced and tested for coronavirus in a bid to contain the possible community spread of the virus. Now, since then, the Ghana Immigration Service has been busy processing data of persons who arrived in the country during that period. Processing that data is meant to help contact tracers to get in touch with travelers. Maxwell Agbagba has had an exclusive access to how the process is going and has come through with this report.
In normal times, you'd find people milling around the luggage carousel and the conveyor belt here. But that is not the case today, as this airport is empty with no activity. This is a reflection of what is happening in many parts of the world. Well, we've been speaking to the man in charge of the information system here at the Kotoka International Airport. He's been telling us about how they are generating data to help the contact tracing team. Essentially, they are retrieving the data of persons who entered the country before these airport doors were shut. This would enable the contact tracing team to do an effective job. I've been speaking to the man in charge, Fred Mfojo.
Now, with our processes, the normal processing that we do here, we scan the contact address and then the telephone number, which is provided by the traveler. Now, this is stored in the system as an image. Yes, so when you go into the system, you are supposed to look at the name of the traveler and then click on that same name. That will take you into the storage or the database itself. And then you search through for the card that the traveler completed when he arrived on the day in question. Yes, and from there you are able to extract the address that was stated on the card and then the telephone number that was given as well. Okay. Extracted based on the flights that came. Yeah, we compile for the entire flight for that day and then we send it to the headquarters for onward development of the list. Yes.
Okay. But so far, what has the process been like?
Well, it has been, I would say, smooth. Okay. With some little challenges. Yes, and because the information is handwritten by the travelers, yes, sometimes it's difficult to read. Yes, but officers or the supervisors are around to help in those regards.
Okay. I'm here at the headquarters of the Ghana Immigration Service. The contact tracers, they are working from one of the rooms here, and these are contact tracing developers. What they do here in this room is to work on the data of persons who came into the country from March 3 to March 23. That was the period before Ghana's borders were shut. So what they are doing is to work on the data of about over 30,000 people, and they're making the data user-friendly here in this room. I've been speaking to the Chief Superintendent, Lydia Archer, who is the leader of the team here. And she tells me that so far they've worked on about 28,000 persons. And this is what we have here. This is just part of what they've worked on, so far.
What my team does is to sanitize or clean the data, take all errors out of it, and also segregate them into the regionals, and then finally we take that of Greater Accra only, hand it over to the deployment team, who will then further disseminate it when they deploy their officers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically this, we're talking about data from which period? From the
3rd of March.
3rd March to 23rd? Or?
Yes, to 23rd of March.
Okay, so yes. From which period to which period again, sorry?
From the 3rd of March to 23rd of March.
Okay, and these are details of persons who came through the Kotoka International
Airport.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are details of people that came through Kotoka International Airport.
Okay.
And we are looking at about 400 plus flights that came within that period, and then about 34,000 plus passengers. Yes, and then so far we've been able to clean and disseminate about 28,500, and work is ongoing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you say that out of the 34,000, you've been able to work on
28,500.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so this data we are talking about has been supplied to the contact tracing team on the ground?
Yes, we've supplied it to the deployment team.
Okay.
That will further disseminate it to the contact tracers because they deploy them. What we also did was also to send that of the other 15 regions by email, via email to our regional commanders at their various regions. And they will also continue with the dissemination to their teams that will go on contact tracing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it possible to give us the regional breakdown of the 34,000 that we're talking about?
Yeah. We have, for now, we have about Greater Accra taking the biggest chunk. In fact, almost 85%, about 18,415 now for Greater Accra only. And the Ashanti region follows to 2,662.
This is the COVID-19 operations room here at the Ghana Immigration Service. This is where all the coordination, takes place. You remember the Ghana Immigration Service put out a notice out there that if you have any family member, any friend, or any tenant who came in within the period that was announced, you should call. Well, if you call, this is where your call would normally come to, and persons here will respond, to it. I've been speaking to the coordinator of this operations room, and he's been telling me about what they've been doing here at this place.
We monitor the border patrol activities. You know that the borders are locked down, and what we have to do is to patrol 24/7 across the borders. Now, we have contact tracing team. This team helps the health officials to contact trace persons who have traveled in the country over the period in question. Now, basically these people, the officers help the health team. And what we do here is that we monitor them. Each team has got their own sets. So once a while, we call to check their locations, and as and when there's any occurrence, we basically respond to them.
I've also been speaking to the Greater Accra Regional Commander of the Ghana Immigration Service, who is also in charge of the contact tracing operations here at the Immigration Headquarters, Samuel Amadou Basantele. He says that so far, so good with the contact tracing, but there's still more work to be done.
Oh, well, so far, so good. And there's still a lot of work to do. Because Accra is a big region. And we have over 30-something thousand passengers to trace within who entered the country between the 3rd of March until the lockdown. So that is a huge responsibility, but we are doing our best.
Okay.
But we don't go to the field alone. We accompany them, get the contacts for them to do their sampling or whatever they are supposed to do.
Okay. So are you able to effectively, what mechanisms have you adopted, to effectively trace the contacts?
Yes, our systems, our embarkation and disembarkation cards have a provision for your contact, residential address and phone numbers. So that is what we extract from the raw data that comes from the airport.
Okay.
So for instance, if you fall within, we'll take your name from the card, the address you provided, and your telephone number. So you see that we generated it in the form of a spreadsheet that has all your details. And based on that, we sorted them out into regions, and then we sent them to the other regions. The Accra one is what we have now, we are using here. So effectively, once you travel through the airport, we will have your data. Yes, unless of course you as a passenger gave us a wrong number or a wrong address.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think some of the challenges are that people have two addresses. He is from Koforidua, he lives in Accra, He gets to the airport, he gives the Koforidua address because that is his permanent home address. Because there have been situations like that when you call, so yeah, that's my address, but I'm in Koforidua.
This is what a typical contact tracing process looks like. Here in this community at Ashoman, we're told that there was a positive COVID-19 case some days ago. Health personnel and the Ghana immigration officers here are helping, taking samples for them to be tested at the Noguchi Memorial Institute. Another aspect of the contact tracing process involves contacting travelers who came into the country between the period of March 2 and then March 23. We are told that samples of these travelers are taken and also tested.
Currently, we are working hand in hand with the Ghana Health Service, tracing contacts of people suspected who have come in touch with a confirmed case in the area. So we are working hand in hand with the Ghana Health Service. We've given that information already out. So we are working with that information that we generated, and we are working hand in hand with the Ghana Health Service. Okay, so we're also following up on people that arrived in the country between March 3rd to the midnight of 23rd.
Okay. So for them, what are you doing with them?
We are making contacts, tracing them to their homes to have their samples being taken.
Okay. Okay. And so far, have you tested some of them?
A lot. We've done a lot. We've contacted almost half of what we have.
Okay. And how responsive are they when you call them and you tell them they arrived in the country around this time and you're supposed to test them?
Some respond, some too. We have to really explain to them the need for them to get tested before they respond positively. We also provide security in the sense that some areas, they don't try to welcome us, they don't try to understand the situation. So in a case where we think that it may be rowdy, then we quickly call in the rapid response team.